there are Florida stories. And then there's this one, where a 51-year-old man turned a simple trespassing charge into a full-blown anatomy experiment. Deputies in Polk County ran him through a jail body scanner, and the machine lit up like a Christmas tree. Turns out, he'd smuggled in a full-size thermos, not a flask, not a travel cup, a thermos. Somewhere between bravery and confusion, he decided that was the move. Most people, when arrested for trespassing, focus on bail and lawyers. This guy said, "Let's test the limits of human storage." The report just says thermos concealed in rectum, no explanation. And that's the most Florida part. There's never a why, there's just Tuesday. Cops at Polk County Jail have seen things, meth in socks, sandwiches labeled not drugs. But you know the room went quiet when that x-ray appeared. One deputy leaned in, "Is that A?" Another whispered, "Yeah, that's a Yeti." And it wasn't an accident. Step 1, trespass. Step 2, get caught. Step 3, remember your thermos is still in the world's worst pocket. That's not desperation, that's commitment. Nobody said what was inside the thermos. Coffee? Contraband? Last night's regrets? Whatever it was, it survived a journey worthy of a Discovery Channel special. Hopefully empty, because otherwise you're describing a man who risked internal burns for hydration. Even the sheriff's office sounded baffled. Their spokesperson told Fox 13, "We don't usually find items of that nature." Translation, "We need therapy now." Imagine being the deputy logging evidence. One wallet, one belt, one stainless thermos, retrieved via the exit ramp. There's no checkbox for that in the system. What kind of thermos was it? A slim commuter model or one of those camping jugs with a handle? Because if it's the latter, that's not booking. It's an exorcism. The report said full thermos, which deserves a medical paper titled "Why Gravity Quit." The funniest part, the arrest wasn't for smuggling. He was just caught wandering on private property. The thermos was a surprise discovery, meaning he went the whole arrest pretending nothing was unusual. Cuffed, processed, calm while sitting on a Stanley Cup finalist. That's poise. At some point, a deputy asked, "Sir, got anything on you we should know about?" And he said, "Nope." And technically, he didn't, on him. Grammar saved his secret for nearly an hour. Picture the scanner operator. You expect vape pens and pocket knives, not a glowing cylinder inside someone's midsection. After a long pause, is he making coffee in there? Did he think he'd get jail cred? Hide something in the thermos? Or was it just the thrill? If I can fit this, I can fit anything. That's optimism mixed with poor life planning. And thermoses have lids, meaning some poor officer had to unscrew it like defusing a bomb. Everyone holding their breath, please don't hiss. The report didn't say what was inside, mercifully. Some mysteries should stay sealed. He's now facing trespass plus the extremely specific charge of introducing contraband via colon. Somewhere, a court clerk just added thermos to the official contraband list. Next year's training manual, check pockets, shoes, and, if necessary, impossible places. You know you've hit bottom when your arrest becomes a public service announcement. It's like he wanted to warn the youth, not everything that says vacuum sealed should be, but Polk County, unshaken. This is the same place where a man once tried to outrun deputies on a riding mower. Sheriff Grady Judd probably just sighed. At least it wasn't plugged in. Now the man sits in a cell, relieved that the world knows, because that's not something you want to explain to a cellmate. The thermos is in evidence. Somewhere, an intern's labeling it with tears. The moral, if you're going to trespass, travel light. Keep your pockets empty and your thermos where God intended. Because it's one thing to lose your freedom, it's another to lose it with a travel mug as your co-pilot. And that's the wildest thing to come out of Florida this week. Literally. Stick around, things somehow get even stranger. After the Florida thermos incident, it's hard to imagine anyone out crazying the Sunshine State. But then, Kentucky said, "Hold my bourbon." While most people spend October carving pumpkins, one man in Kentucky celebrated Halloween by turning his yard into a crime scene, complete with body bags labeled with local officials' names, the judge, the mayor, a few others, all zipped up in black plastic right there on the lawn. Nothing says holiday spirit like your town leaders decomposing in your flower bed. Neighbors were split. Some thought it was dark humor, others thought it was a threat. One kid walking to school screamed after spotting Mayor Tom draped over the hydrangeas. It's the first time a local politician's been accused of lying still for too long. When police arrived, they found 6 body bags, each tagged in bold letters. The homeowner called it satire. Now, satire usually involves jokes or maybe a fake tombstone, not full-scale corpse cosplay. But sure, call it art. Somewhere Banksy just muttered, "Wish I'd thought of that." The bodies were stuffed with old clothes and insulation because, as the man proudly told reporters, realism matters. He wanted the limbs to hang right. The sheriff called it disturbingly lifelike, which, from law enforcement, means, please never do that again. If your decorations need a crime scene photographer, you've gone too far. Then came the names. He didn't go with zombie or victim. He printed laminated tags: mayor, judge, county attorney. It looked like a bureaucratic murder mystery. The mayor told reporters, "I respect free speech, but I'd prefer not to be on the lawn." A reasonable boundary. When asked why, the man gave an answer that belonged on a whiskey label. "They buried my reputation, so I buried them back. Either poetic vengeance or the worst country song ever written." He insisted it was in the Halloween spirit. Sure, nothing says trick-or-treat like simulated homicide. Authorities debated charging him under Kentucky's terroristic threat law. In the end, they decided it was weird but legal, since the bodies weren't real and intent was unclear. Translation: we can't tell if he's dangerous or just bored. Then came escalation 4, the press arrived. Instead of taking it down, he doubled down. He smiled for photos, gesturing proudly toward his fake officials, promising to add sound effects. Somewhere, Home Depot's Halloween aisle crowned him Employee of the Year. The town split right down the middle, half horrified, half calling it art. Kentucky, the only place where the Venn diagram of civil rights activist and guy with 6 trash bags fully overlaps. One commenter online wrote, "If he'd used zombies, nobody'd care." True, but nobody would talk about it either. Reporters asked what happens after Halloween. He said, "Maybe I'll keep them up through Election Day. A joke? A threat? Performance art? Nobody knows." Meanwhile, the mail carrier's been practicing drive-by deliveries. "Special delivery, Mr. Henderson," throwing from the street again. It's the kind of story that makes you question how far people will go to make a point or win the neighborhood decorating contest. Somewhere, a mom hot-gluing eyes onto a plastic spider just sighed, "We're not winning this year." Even the local news anchor struggled to wrap it up. Officials remind the public that Halloween decorations should not cause public alarm, which eliminates 90% of Halloween. If your decor doesn't cause mild panic, you're just celebrating fall. In the end, no charges. The mayor lives to govern another day, slightly traumatized. The homeowner told reporters he felt heard. Yeah, no kidding. Hard not to be heard when you're yanging through 6 fake corpses. Moral of the story: free speech is great, just maybe use it in ways that don't give your HOA a heart attack. Paint a sign, write a letter. Don't build a moored tribute to City Hall. Because even if you're legally innocent, your lawn's still guilty. Kentucky gave us a Halloween tale that's equal parts protest, performance art, and therapy session with props. It's what happens when civic frustration meets the spirit Halloween clearance aisle. And with that, we close tonight's episode where Florida smuggled and Kentucky buried. That's all for Believe It or Bullshit. Leave it in the comments. Hit that subscribe button because God knows what other insane news I'm going to dig up next time.